First contact. Captain Nikolai Zhukov stood motionless at the edge of the massive stone structure, its impossibly smooth surface gleaming under the pale light of Proxima Centauri. After 3 years of interstellar travel aboard the Earth exploration vessel Horizon, the discovery of these ruins on Proxima B validated every sacrifice, every moment of doubt. Magnificent, isn't it? Dr. Prisha Verma's voice crackled through his helmet comm. The exobiologist approached, her environmental suit's lights illuminating hieroglyphs etched into the alien monument. These markings suggest a civilization at least 20,000 years old. Nothing in our databases matches this linguistic pattern. Any theories on what happened to them? Nikolai asked, running a gloved hand over the strange symbols. Extinction, evolution, or exodus, the 3 E's of vanished civilizations, Prisha replied. Though I'm leaning toward exodus. There's no evidence of catastrophic destruction. Lieutenant Marcus Way, the ship's communications specialist, joined them at the structure. His usual easygoing demeanor had been replaced by uncharacteristic intensity. Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures deeper inside the structure. Faint, but definitely artificial. Lead the way, Nikolai ordered, signaling to the rest of the survey team. They ventured deeper into the labyrinthine ruins, the alien architecture becoming increasingly complex, curves and angles that seemed to defy Euclidean geometry. The air inside, surprisingly breathable, carried a faint metallic scent. This shouldn't be possible, Marcus whispered as they entered a vast circular chamber. These energy readings, they're increasing. At the center of the chamber stood a crystalline object approximately 2 meters tall, pulsing with soft blue light. Dr. Varma approached it cautiously, scanning instruments whirring. It appears to be some kind of beacon or communication device, she said. The power source is unlike anything in our records. It's been active for thousands of years at minimum. Don't touch it, Nikolai warned, but his caution came too late. The artifact sensed their presence. Its pulsing accelerated, the blue light intensifying until it filled the chamber. Marcus's equipment shrieked with feedback as he frantically adjusted settings. Captain, it's broadcasting something. Everywhere. Beyond our solar system. It's like it's announcing us. The crystal emitted a high-pitched tone that penetrated their helmets, forcing them to their knees. Then, as suddenly as it started, the sound ceased. The light reconfigured itself, projecting outward to form a spinning vortex of energy that tore at the fabric of space itself. Evacuate now, Nikolai shouted, but the team stood transfixed as the portal stabilized. Through this impossible doorway stepped a being unlike anything humanity had encountered. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, with iridescent skin that shifted colors with each movement, the creature regarded them with four pupilless eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Its limbs, 6 in total, moved with unsettling grace. I am emissary Klon of the Vectheri Dominion. The being announced in perfect English, its voice resonating directly in their minds rather than through their comms. We have awaited your discovery of this gateway for some time. After the initial shock, Dr. Varma stepped forward. How do you speak our language? We have observed your world for centuries, Klon replied. Your television broadcasts, radio signals, internet communications, all have been most informative. Your species shows potential. More Vectheri emerged from the portal, each carrying devices that resembled both tools and weapons. We come with knowledge to share, Klon continued, extending a 4-fingered hand toward the humans. The stars hold dangers you cannot imagine. Allow us to guide your species toward enlightenment. While Nikolai engaged in cautious diplomatic exchange with the alien emissary, Dr. Varma noticed something disturbing. The devices the other Vectheri carried were scanning the ruins, and specifically targeting human biosignatures. During a private moment, she whispered to Nikolai, "They're gathering military intelligence. Notice how they're mapping our physical vulnerabilities, not sharing cultural information." Over the next 72 hours, the Vectheri established what they called a cultural exchange, But Nikolai grew increasingly uneasy. Marcus reported the aliens were transmitting massive data packets toward distant star systems, and the Horizon security officer observed the Vectari installing unknown devices throughout the ruins. The revelation came when Dr. Varma, working late analyzing Vectari language patterns, decoded a transmission not meant for human ears. "Captain," she burst into Nikolai's makeshift quarters, face pale. "They're not ambassadors. They're an advanced reconnaissance force. I've translated their real mission parameters. The Vectari don't establish cultural exchanges. They harvest useful genetic material and technological concepts before conquering species they deem worthy. We're being assessed for colonization." Nikolai immediately contacted the Horizon in orbit. "First Officer Kaminsky, prepare for emergency extraction. The situation has deteriorated." But the Vectari had anticipated this. When Nikolai and his team attempted to return to their shuttle, they found Klon waiting. "Your species learns quickly," the alien said, its skin darkening to a deep crimson. "Too quickly, perhaps? It would have been easier had you embraced our guidance willingly." The air shimmered as more Vectari materialized around them, weapons raised. "Your vessel in orbit has been neutralized," Klon announced. "Soon, the Vectari armada will arrive. Earth will become the newest province of our dominion. Your resistance now only determines whether your species serves or perishes." Nikolai exchanged glances with his team. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and 40 trillion kilometers from home. But humanity hadn't survived this long by surrendering to the first superior force it encountered. "Marcus," he whispered into his comm, "initiate protocol Thermopylae." As Marcus activated a hidden device on his wrist, the ruins' ancient defense systems, which they had secretly mapped and partially reactivated, suddenly engaged. Energy barriers separated the humans from their would-be captors. "You underestimate us, Klon," Nikolai said as his team retreated toward their emergency escape route. "Humanity doesn't submit easily." In the chaos that followed, the ancient ruins became a battlefield between ancient technology and Vectari weapons. The humans raced toward their shuttle, carrying with them data that might give Earth its only chance against the coming invasion. As the shuttle broke atmosphere, Dr. Varma looked back at the planet's surface where energy weapons now scarred the landscape around the ruins. "We've just made first contact," she said grimly, "and perhaps humanity's first interstellar enemy. The Horizon, damaged but functional, prepared for the desperate journey home." The vessel accelerated to light speed, carrying a warning that would forever change Earth's understanding of its place in the cosmos. The Alliance. The command bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship, Intrepid, hummed with tense activity as Admiral Himiko Tanaka studied the holographic display. 12 Vectari warships had entered the solar system, their crystalline hulls shimmering against the blackness of space as they approached Mars' orbit. "Time to intercept?" she asked, her voice steady despite the weight of humanity's fate resting on her shoulders. "For hours, 17 minutes, replied Tactical Officer Dante Washington. "Our orbital platforms are armed and ready, but simulations give us only a 30% chance of repelling their forces." 3 weeks had passed since the EV Horizon limped back to Earth with its warning. 3 frantic weeks of military mobilization, evacuations of coastal cities, and desperate diplomatic attempts to unite humanity against an extraterrestrial threat. "Admiral," called Communications Director Valentina Sokolov from her station. "We're detecting an unknown vessel approaching from the opposite vector. It's not Vectari design." The holographic display shifted, revealing a sleek, organic-looking ship with what appeared to be living tissue integrated into its metallic structure. "They're hailing us," Valentina reported, surprise evident in her voice. "On screen," ordered Admiral Tanaka, straightening her uniform jacket. The viewscreen illuminated to show a being with silvery skin and large, luminous eyes set in a face that seemed almost feline. Delicate tendrils that resembled hair floated around its head as if suspended in liquid. "I am Ambassador Trell of the Inwardala Collective," the alien said, its voice melodic despite the translator's mechanical overlay. "We have monitored your encounter with the Vectari. We come to offer alliance." Security Chief Jackson Rodriguez moved closer to the Admiral, his hand instinctively resting on his sidearm. Convenient timing, he muttered. Could be a trap. Admiral Tanaka raised her hand slightly, silencing him. Ambassador Trell, your offer is noted. However, understanding your motivations would help establish trust. The alien's expression shifted subtly. The Vecthari have consumed 17 civilizations within what you call the Orion Arm. The Nyardala have fought them for 3 of your centuries. We were once many worlds. Now we are few. This pattern repeats unless they are stopped. Within the hour, Ambassador Trell had transported aboard the Intrepid, accompanied by 2 Nyardala scientists. Despite Security Chief Rodriguez's protests, Admiral Tanaka authorized them access to Earth's defense plans. The Vecthari ships use living crystal technology, explained Navori, the Nyardala weapons specialist, as she examined Earth's defense schematics. Her tendrils writhed with emotion as she spoke. Your conventional weapons will cause minimal damage. However, we have developed technology that disrupts their neural crystalline matrix. She presented a small device that pulsed with soft green light. This frequency generator, if adapted to your weapon systems, will destabilize their ship's molecular coherence. Rodriguez crossed his arms. And what do you want in return? Survival, replied Ambassador Trell simply. And perhaps sanctuary for our remaining population should our homeworlds fall. While Earth scientists worked frantically with the Nyardala to modify their weapon systems, Admiral Tanaka joined Rodriguez in the secure briefing room. I don't trust them, Rodriguez stated flatly. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. If they've been fighting the Vecthari for so long, why seek our help now? Because they're losing, Tanaka replied, reviewing intelligence reports. Intercepted Vecthari communications suggest they've nearly eradicated the Nyardala. We may be their last hope, just as they may be ours. 3 hours later, Earth's defense fleet moved into position, newly modified weapon systems untested but theoretically capable of penetrating Vecthari defenses. The Nyardala vessel positioned itself alongside the Intrepid, its organic metallic hull pulsing with energy. Vecthari fleet entering weapons range, announced Dante. They're launching fighter craft. The space between Mars and Earth erupted with energy beams and missile contrails. The Vecthari attack was methodical, precise, and devastatingly effective. 3 Earth vessels disintegrated within the first exchange. Frequency disruptors online, reported Valentina. Firing solution locked. All ships, engage with modified weapons, Admiral Tanaka commanded. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Where the modified energy beams struck the Vecthari vessels, their crystalline structure began to lose cohesion, sections breaking apart like shattering glass. It's working, Dante exclaimed as the first Vecthari cruiser collapsed in on itself. But the alien invaders adapted quickly. Their remaining ships reconfigured their shields, partially neutralizing the disruptor effect. The battle descended into a desperate struggle, with Earth's combined fleet taking heavy losses despite the Nyardala technology. On the Intrepid's bridge, emergency systems blared as the ship absorbed a direct hit. Hull breach on decks 4 through 7, reported Valentina, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. Shields at 23%. Rodriguez entered the bridge, supporting Ambassador Trell, who appeared injured. Admiral, the Nyardala have a final option. Tell her, he urged the alien. Our vessel carries a resonance cascade device, Trell explained, her voice weakened. It will amplify the disruptor effect exponentially, but must be detonated at the center of the Vecthari formation. It requires manual guidance. Understanding dawned on Admiral Tanaka's face. You're proposing a suicide mission. Our people are already lost, Trell said softly. Let our final act prevent the same fate for yours. After a moment of solemn consideration, Tanaka nodded. The Nyardala ship broke formation, accelerating directly toward the Vecthari command vessel. Earth's remaining ships concentrated their fire to create a corridor through the enemy defenses. Ambassador Trell's ship has reached the target point, Dante reported, his voice hushed with respect. The view screen flared blindingly as the resonance cascade activated. A spherical wave of energy expanded outward, engulfing the Vectheri fleet. Where it passed, the alien ships dissolved, their neural crystalline technology breaking down at the molecular level. When the light faded, the Vectheri threat had been neutralized, but the Enwiredala ship was gone as well. In the aftermath, as Earth began its recovery, Admiral Tanaka stood before the United Earth Council, Rodriguez at her side. The Vectheri have been defeated, but not destroyed, she reported. Their civilization spans dozens of star systems. They will return, perhaps with technology adapted to counter our defenses. And the Enwiredala? Asked a council member. Did any survive? Before their sacrifice, they transmitted their genetic patterns and cultural database to our systems, Rodriguez explained, his previous suspicion replaced by respect. They entrusted us with their legacy and their knowledge. Admiral Tanaka activated a holographic display showing star charts extending far beyond humanity's previous explorations. The Enwiredala provided us with maps of Vectheri territory, as well as other civilizations, both potential allies and threats. We are no longer alone, and no longer ignorant. She faced the council directly. Humanity's future now lies among those distant stars. We must be prepared, not just to defend ourselves, but to forge new alliances. The universe, we now know, is both more wondrous and more dangerous than we ever imagined. As the council chambers erupted in debate about humanity's next steps, Rodriguez looked through the great window at Earth shining below, fragile yet resilient. Somewhere out there were other Vectheri, but also potential friends yet undiscovered. The isolation humanity had known throughout its history had ended, and a new chapter was beginning, one that would be written among the echoes of distant stars. Legacy of Stars. The observation dome atop New Singapore's tallest spire offered an unparalleled view of humanity's achievement. Director Jamal Okoro stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the massive shipyard where the culmination of 5 years of interspecies collaboration took physical form. The Enwiredala's promise will launch tomorrow, he said to the woman who had just joined him. Humanity's first true interstellar warship. Admiral Himiko Tanaka, now with streaks of silver in her once black hair, nodded appreciatively. The vessel below dwarfed everything around it, its hull incorporating both Earth technology and principles derived from Enwiredala designs, organic metallic composites that could self-repair and adapt to damage. Beautiful, isn't she? Jamal continued. Quantum slip drives, regenerative shields, and disruptor arrays that can reconfigure to counter any known defense system. The Vectheri won't find us so easy to intimidate this time. If only Ambassador Trell could see what her sacrifice made possible, Tanaka said softly. The elevator doors slid open behind them, admitting Security Director Jackson Rodriguez and a striking blue-skinned humanoid with delicate gill structures on her neck. Genevieve, the first successful genetic reconstruction of an Enwiredala citizen, grown from the preserved genetic patterns and educated through the cultural database left behind by Trell's people. The coalition representatives have arrived for the pre-launch ceremony, Rodriguez announced, including some unexpected guests. Unexpected how? Tanaka asked, turning from the view. The Arcturians sent a diplomatic envoy. They've never shown interest in Earth affairs before. Genevieve stepped forward, her movement possessing the same fluid grace that had characterized Ambassador Trell. They've come because of the rumors. Word has spread through the trading routes. The Vectheri are mobilizing again. Then tomorrow's launch is even more significant, Jamal replied grimly. The diplomatic reception buzzed with conversation in dozens of languages, translation devices creating a subtle background hum. Representatives from 7 non-human species mingled with Earth's leaders, united by the common threat that loomed beyond their borders. At the center of the vast chamber stood a memorial, a holographic representation of the Enwiredala ship's final moments as it sacrificed itself to save Earth. Beneath it, a simple inscription, that others might live. Valentina Sokolov, now Earth's ambassador to the coalition, guided a group of towering, chitinous delegates toward Admiral Tanaka. Admiral, May I present first speaker KHDZZ of the Arcturian hegemony, she said with practiced diplomacy. They've traveled 40 light-years to witness tomorrow's launch. The insectoid alien's mandibles clicked in what translator algorithms interpreted as respectful greeting. Your reputation extends far, Admiral Tanaka. We have watched your species with interest since your defense against the Vectheri. We had crucial help, Tanaka replied modestly. Indeed, the NYRDALA's choice to entrust their legacy to humanity was unexpected. Many in the galactic community questioned their wisdom. The alien's compound eyes gleamed. Yet here you stand, 5 of your years later, with technology that might have taken you centuries to develop independently. Rodriguez, ever vigilant, moved closer to the conversation. You mentioned rumors of Vectheri movement near your territories. Not rumors, Security Director. Confirmed reports. The Arcturian produced a small device that projected a 3-dimensional star map. Their scout vessels have been observed here, and here, probing defenses, testing boundaries. They are methodical hunters. Genevieve studied the map, her expression darkening. They're avoiding direct approaches to Earth. They've learned from their defeat. The Vectheri never attacked the same way twice, the Arcturian confirmed. Which is why we have come with more than congratulations. We offer alliance. The next morning, beneath artificial clouds created by weather control systems, thousands gathered to witness history. The launch platform hummed with energy as final preparations were made for the NYRDALA's Promises maiden voyage. On the command bridge, Captain Dante Washington, promoted after his service aboard the Intrepid, supervised the startup sequence. His crew a mixture of veteran officers and specialists trained specifically for this new class of vessel. All systems operational, Captain, reported Navigation Officer Lynn Mailing, quantum drive at optimal parameters. Dante nodded, then opened a communication channel. Bridge to engineering. Status report. Engineering ready, Captain. The response came from Dr. Prisha Varma, who had transferred from xenobiology to applied physics after studying the NYRDALA technology. The crystalline matrix is stable and synchronized with ship systems. The most revolutionary aspect of the vessel was its core, a modified version of the same living crystal technology the Vectheri had used, but repurposed through NYRDALA Insight. Instead of being weaponized, it now served as both power source and computational center, allowing the ship to think and adapt almost like a living organism. As final launch preparations continued, a priority alert flashed across Dante's console. Deep space sensors are detecting quantum disturbances at the edge of the solar system, Lynn reported, her fingers dancing across controls. Pattern matches Vectheri signatures. Dante activated the ship-wide communication system. All personnel, prepare for immediate deployment. This is not a drill. Launch countdown accelerated to T-10 minutes. In the observation dome, the coalition representatives watched tensely as defense forces mobilized. The Arcturian first speaker turned to Admiral Tanaka. It appears the hunters have arrived earlier than anticipated. Or perhaps precisely when expected, Rodriguez countered, his suspicion reflexive after years of security work. An interesting coincidence. The Arcturian's mandibles clicked. You suspect us of coordination with the Vectheri? They consumed 3 of our colony worlds in the last cycle. We are natural enemies. Yet you've never sought allies before now, Rodriguez observed. Because before now, no species had demonstrated both the capability and conviction to stand against them effectively, the alien replied. We have watched you rebuild, adapt, incorporate NYRDALA knowledge respectfully rather than exploitatively. You have earned our trust, Security Director. Now we must earn yours. The Arcturian produced a crystalline data key. This contains navigational data to Vectheri supply depots, weapon schematics, and communication frequencies. We offer it freely. Before Rodriguez could respond, Genevieve approached with urgency in her step. The sensors have confirmed, it's not a full invasion fleet. It's a single ship, utilizing some form of stealth technology we haven't encountered before. A new tactic, Tanaka surmised. Testing our defenses again. No, Genevieve said. her voice suddenly distant, as if accessing ancestral memory. The energy signature, it's not Vectheri. Aboard the Nyrdala's Promise, Captain Washington received the same information. Confirm that analysis, he ordered. Confirmed, sir, Lin responded. The quantum signature is similar to Vectheri technology, but distinct in key frequencies. And they're broadcasting on a Nyrdala emergency channel. Dante's eyes widened. Put it through. The bridge speakers crackled with static before a voice emerged, melodic despite distortion, with the unmistakable cadence of Nyrdala speech patterns. To Earth vessels. This is the Nyrdala rescue ship Eternal Memory. We have escaped Vectheri space with survivors, requesting sanctuary and assistance. 3 days later, Admiral Tanaka stood in a secure medical facility deep beneath New Singapore, watching through observation glass as doctors examined the 27 Nyrdala refugees, the last survivors of a once great civilization, escaped from captivity in a stolen Vectheri vessel they had modified. They were being held as research subjects, Rodriguez explained, reviewing intelligence reports. The Vectheri were studying them to better understand how their technology was used against them during our battle. And they escaped using knowledge of their own technology combined with Vectheri systems, Tanaka mused. Just as we've done with the Promise. Genevieve approached the glass, placing her hand against it as she made eye contact with her biological kin, true Nyrdala, not recreated as she had been. Tears traced silvery paths down her blue cheeks. We thought them extinct, she whispered. Now there is hope for true restoration. The lead refugee, who had identified herself as Navigator Celera, approached the glass on the other side. She mirrored Genevieve's gesture, their hands separated only by the transparent barrier. Ambassador Trell's final transmission spoke of entrusting our legacy to humanity, Celera said. Her voice transmitted through speakers. We doubted her wisdom then. We do not doubt it now. 1 month later, on the observation deck of the Nyrdala's Promise, now deep in interstellar space, Captain Washington stood with Navigator Celera and the Arcturian first speaker, watching as the stars streaked by. The coalition grows stronger, the Arcturian observed. 7 species now formally allied against the Vectheri threat. And more considering joining, added Dante. The Centauri colonies have opened diplomatic channels. Navigator Celera turned from the viewport. The Vectheri believe themselves inherently superior, destined to dominate all other life forms. They cannot comprehend cooperation between different species as anything but weakness. Then that misconception will be their downfall, Dante replied. Earth history is filled with examples of diverse alliances overcoming seemingly superior forces. As if to emphasize his point, the ship's intercom activated with Dr. Varma's voice. Captain, the joint research team has successfully integrated the Arcturian sensor technology with our navigation systems. Effective detection range has increased by 60%. The Arcturian's compound eyes gleamed with what might have been satisfaction. Together, we achieve what none could accomplish alone. This is the way of enlightened species. On the main bridge below, humans worked alongside Nyrdala and representatives from other coalition species. Where once Earth had stood alone and vulnerable in the cosmos, it now formed the centerpiece of an emerging interstellar alliance, different biologies, cultures, and evolutionary paths united by shared values and common purpose. The Vectheri would return, of that, there was no doubt. But they would find not isolated worlds ripe for conquest, but a prepared coalition of civilizations determined to write their own destiny among the stars. As the great ship continued its journey into the unknown, part exploratory mission, part diplomatic venture, part military patrol, it carried with it the legacy of sacrifice and the promise of a future where difference became strength, and ancient enemies could find common cause under distant suns. Beyond the viewport, the cosmos stretched infinite and mysterious. Within it lurked dangers yet undiscovered, but also wonders beyond imagination and potential allies yet to be met. Humanity had taken its first true steps into the galactic community, no longer alone, no longer afraid, ready to face whatever awaited in the echoes of distant stars. Retriclod can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.